I want to welcome Elisa Casapopol. She's the data AI go-to-market lead Western Europe at Microsoft, who's leading Microsoft Analytics business across 14 countries in Western Europe, which is one of the largest areas within Microsoft. And later I also will welcome Tejit Mittal on stage, because Tejit, he's the one responsible for what we were doing here from a Zycus product perspective, Associate Vice President of Product Management at Zycus. So I think, Elisa, over to you. You get it started, and very curious to learn a bit more. Maybe I know something, but really for the group, what we're doing together with Microsoft and how we also secure the data.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I was yesterday in the plane coming here, and I was thinking 2 years ago, from this moment, if I would ever imagine that I would come to Palma de Mallorca to talk to a procurement group of leaders about generative AI. This would definitely not happen. And I'm curious, and I want to challenge you now, while I play a video, to actually think, what were you doing 2 years ago? If you ever participated in a GenAI conference 2 years ago, if this was in your plans for procurement, and that really shows how many things have changed in only 2 years from now. So with that, I give you 30 seconds to think about how your life was 2 years ago, while we play a video from the back.
I think that our industry has to have a common vision.
It was a time that connected us to incredible things.
My name for this vision is information at your fingertips.
And 3 decades later, we find ourselves in a new era. One where access to information becomes access to expertise. From the farm to the lab, from the boardroom to the classroom. This new generation of AI is for everyone, everywhere. Welcome to the age of AI transformation.
And I wanted to bring this AI transformation here because what we see right now is indeed that AI is really impacting every individual, it's impacting every company, it's impacting every team. And if you see all the presentations that we've seen today with the agents, I know for sure where I would send my agent. My agent would now be in the office working, and I would definitely prefer to be here in Palma with a Heineken beer and have the one part of me here and the 0.1 at the office. But this is what we see, that every industry is being impacted by generative AI and AI in general. And it's not just me saying this, but it's the studies. Because what we have seen in the recent 2 years is that for every $1 that people invest in AI strategies and technologies in their companies, we have $3.5 coming back as return on their investment. And this happens mostly in about 14 months from the moment of the investment. So actually less than 2 years. So if you start now, what you're expected to get in about 14 months is 3.5 return on investment on this. And because we're doing this conference in Europe, Europe is actually one of the regions that is having a lot of regulations. So we don't see sometimes the adoption of all of these technologies comparable to Asia, comparable to the US, going as fast as we see on other continents. But even so, we see here that 22% of the organizations here in Europe are investing massively in GenAI solutions. And what is even more interesting for all of you, especially because you're in such a specific domain, is that 38% of the businesses know that their business will be impacted in 1.5 years from now by GenAI. So in 18 months from now, GenAI somehow will impact your business. And I've heard the words from Atish, which is very visionary and also very optimistic about the future. And I never imagined I'm going to be the one sounding a bit more pessimistic in a presentation. But what we have seen throughout the years with all of the emerging technologies is actually a shape like this. When it comes to the adoption, when it comes to the hype, when it comes to expectations of people. And it's actually not always just going up. As you can see, it's also going down at some point. And this is a draw that comes from Gartner. So it's something that is widely adopted within the industry and something we have seen with all of the emerging technologies. And what we are right now with GenAI is probably somewhere around here, because the last 2 years have been extremely intense. We have been growing. Everyone has huge expectations. And also sometimes you see regulations interfere, or a company just doesn't have the funds enough to invest, to continue investing in this technology. So we can expect this kind of decline. But this is also something that we can change, or this is something we can influence. And we at Microsoft, for sure, knowing how much we bet on AI right now, we want to ensure that this decline is going to be as short as possible in terms of time. And we're doing everything we can in order to ensure the companies to trust us in the way we build our AI projects and AI platforms. And we do this by building on 5 commitments when it comes to AI. And I want to go one by one through each of them, because I know they're all very important, especially for your industry and for your profile. So first of all, and I know you heard this a lot of times, is the fact that your data does really stay as your data. Who has heard this before? I see a few of you, but I really want to emphasize, and someone told me that you have to say an information 7 times before people really acknowledge the information. So really your data does stay your data. So when you use these models, when you use Copilot, we are ensuring that you're doing this in your trusted environment, and we're not taking the data and your IP to retrain the models with that information. So that is something extremely important, and I know a lot of companies are still having doubts about it. Secondly, we talk about generative AI. And what is special about generative AI compared to AI is the word generative. And why is it important? Is because it generates new content. But this word new is something quite subjective, like how new is something new. And that's exactly why we have the copyright commitment. And what does Microsoft say is the fact that when you use our Azure OpenAI models or use Copilot and you're generating new content, we are behind your back. So in case someone is arguing with the copyrights of the new content you generated, Microsoft is there to support you in all of the discussions that can arise from this, knowing the quality and how the new generated content comes from these models. Thirdly, and extremely important, we're talking about building responsibly. And this is something that we're putting a lot of effort and emphasis in. Having a team of responsible AI ever since 2018, actually, in the company, working on policies, working on how to deploy these guardrails along the models, to make sure that they have grounded answers, to make sure that they are relevant when they're replying to you, but also that we have fairness and content safety around everything that we build. Fourth pillar actually is not the 4th one in priority, because this year at Microsoft we say it's priority number 0. It's actually security. Because with all of this GenAI, what we see is actually that we are democratizing the access of people to information. And democratizing it comes also with some risks. So now even my grandma can find information about Microsoft, can find information about Zycus. And this democratization also means that more people have access even with bad intents. So that's why security comes for us in the design of the product. So when we launch something, we check for the threats that can occur for it. And it's something that we really count on for everything that is being launched. And lastly, it's about sustainability. And I have seen, especially in your domain, I know a lot of you as procurement leads are actually even responsible for sustainability pillars within your organizations. And sustainability is something that you do care, especially in procurement when you work with your suppliers, with your providers, because the way they build is actually going to impact your footprint on sustainability. And this is something that we value a lot. And this is, for example, why we are investing now in new chips that are actually sustainable by design. Or our data centers where we host our data is actually something where we aim to have 0 carbon energy by 2025. So that also shows to you exactly where we position our products and how we develop our platform. And these are how we approach the decline in expectation and trying to reduce that time so that we go again on the hype and really delivering value with generative AI. And there are 10 general use case or most common use cases that I have seen in the last years where companies really gain value. And I'm not going to go one by one to each of them, but I want to focus on 3 examples with 3 customers. And I promise I actually prepared this slide before knowing that Hervé will talk before me. But one of the customers that I wanted to emphasize was actually Heineken. And Heineken is special for me twofold, because in the past I used to work with Heineken, but also because Heineken is an example as a company in innovation when it comes to their employee experience. So when we talk about chatbots and virtual assistants, Heineken is one company that has decided to create these chatbots so that their employee can actually interact through natural language, words like I talk right now, to find out more information faster about their status, their vacation, any information that you as an employee would want to know. Another one which is very special, so I moved recently to Spain, and here in Spain, football is extremely important. So there's a customer here in Spain called La Liga, it's the league of football, and actually they're a huge customer of Microsoft, and it comes as an interesting scenario for the predictive analytics. And why? It's because actually La Liga is able to predict 30 seconds with a high probability the next goal. So I think for you as procurement leaders, knowing at least 30 seconds in advance your spend for the next month or year is definitely useful. And if La Liga can do it with predictive analytics, I'm sure you can also do it hopefully 30 months in advance about your spend for the future. And the third one, and I love this also in the presentation in the beginning, is that in the past, procurement was associated with optimization, reducing the costs, but it's also now shifting towards innovation. And one company that is leveraging generative AI for innovation is Unilever. So Unilever is reducing tens or hundreds of lab hours by putting all of their information and then interacting with natural language on it to have new products being generated with the help of AI. So when we talk about this, we have 10 use cases, and these are 3 customers worldwide that we all know that are leveraging now GenAI solutions. But what I was saying is actually that we enjoy working with companies, just like Zycus, because what we are covering together is at least 6 out of the 10 most common use cases. With the agents that you are talking about, that you're building and that you're rolling out on the market. And for this, I like to congratulate what you're doing, because you are in those 38% of the companies who know that businesses are really going to change and be impacted by GenAI now. And with that, I'm going to slowly invite Tejit to talk together about our partnership, because since 2023, we are working together on creating Merlin Assist, which is your interface with which you as a procurement leader, but also all your teams, can now do your work faster, accelerated, and you can gain more value out of it. And you have deeper savings, you have deeper acceleration, and also shorter time to value. With that, I want to invite on stage with me Tejit, so he can do a proper demo of Merlin and go a bit more into what it does. Tejit, here you go.
Thank you, Elisa, and it's really exciting to have this partnership with Microsoft and with their focus of the security and the scale that comes through. So I'm gonna probably talk about your data is your data a couple of more times. She did it 4 times, I will make it together 7. What we do at Zycus is embed the core engineering that we have along with the domain expertise that we have gained over the past couple of decades and the set of data security that we have across. With Microsoft comes an augmented layer of that security, and the entire offering that comes to our customers is complete and safe and secure. So that's really the focus that we have to build the right applications to solve the right use cases at scale with your data being your data. So 7 times done, I think we will not repeat that point. But let me deep dive a bit into how we are doing it. So these are the 3 key pillars of innovation that we are taking up. Guided intake is something that enables our users, your users, both business and procurement, to effortlessly get a front door to procurement. So that's step 1. enable the user experience in a very conversational and personalized way. The second is the efficiency and compliance that comes up. My apologies. The second is the efficiency and compliance that comes for the procurement users who are using the application day in, day out. They just need to get the right information built in the system they are using, where they are using it, and not going in a separate place to get that done. And the third, which we are really excited, which Atish spoke about, the Merlin agentic platform. What do we interpret the agents as? It's a software program with self-determining tasks to attain a predetermined objective. So it lets you define the objectives that you want that agent to cover, and then it does it autonomously. So that's the focus we have for the Merlin agentic platform. Quickly going through the challenges, and I think Harvey talked about a bit about intake. So how we are solving the challenges that the various users having. People are trying to find out, how do I log in? What is the URL? Has my password expired? They are trying to track what they did earlier, what is something that they need to approve, or just trying to find out the policies that they need to take up to carry out the procurement function seamlessly. On the other hand, the procurement users face the challenge of too many requests coming their way. They're trying to explain policies, execute tasks efficiently, and that takes a lot of bandwidth, which can be easily solved. So when intake comes in play, it can simply go through your organizational policies, understand them, and guide the users. It lets you log in seamlessly right within MS Teams, and it lets you execute, track, or carry out any actions. For power users, for procurement users, everything comes to them in a single place. They are structured requests with all the right data, and then they get efficiencies built up in the system with the details that they need where they need it. How do we attain that? A very personalized and conversational interface. What you can see is a user lands on to their home page, and rather than trying to discover what they need to do, the system nudges them that these are some of the frequent actions that you take. These are the ones that are pending on you. You might be needing to approve these 5 documents. Let's get them to you first in your line of the day and get you done with it. So that's personalized, and it's conversational, and of course, it's the front door to procurement, so it's seamlessly integrated with the entire system, lets you take care of all your requests that you need to cater to. Makes it easy. We have seen a very high adoption across our users who are using Merlin Assist Guided Intake, and those efficiencies have started to pour in. Now, next, we spoke about the user experience. Now, how do we bring in the efficiencies for our procurement users? How do we ensure that the product that we are making is really making it easy and efficient while ensuring compliance for our frequent users, for the users who spend most of their time on the system? So these are some of the activities that the users did earlier, and you can see it's coming down from hours to minutes, even not days, but hours. If we say the optimized setup that we had in the past few years, and now it is coming down to minutes. You're looking at discovering suppliers, building, sourcing events, awarding them, whatnot. All this can be very seamlessly engaging for the power users, and those results start coming in. Let's see some of the places where the product enables this. So you're trying to find suppliers, you're trying to build RFQs. It takes up your data contextually and makes recommendations based on what you are looking for exactly in the place where you are looking for it. So you get supplier responses. There is no further need to go through 20 RFPs, finding out what are the responses, scanning through them. Just get an auto score and look at the top 5. Next, we get the price recommendations that come through. So if you are looking to purchase something, the purchase requisitions, you get what has been the price going on. What were your previous purchases? Even if it was free text, you get that right within the system with all the trends that are going in the system. And further, the risk that I think I was speaking to a lot of you yesterday night, one topic that consistently came up was risk management. So how do we ensure that the risk that comes up in the system is proactively handled and not as an afterthought or not as a compliance need? So that's something that's another key focus area. You can build up questionnaires, you can get all the details in one place, again, where you need it. The other aspect we have solved, again, as an embedded user experience, is how do we enable our users to get the information where they need if they are struggling with product onboarding. Now, a lot of nudges and the ease of use comes, but still there remains a question as to they are trying to attain something which they don't know about. And you can simply ask a question like, how can I add a contract to an invoice? It gives you step-by-step setup and enables you with that. With suppliers, it's even more prominent because they see this one of the many systems that they're catering to. So they need fast and quick response. These queries otherwise come to buyers, taking up their precious time. So that's again, embedded experience that's coming with GenAI that is enabling the efficiency and compliance. Now, something that we are really excited about, what Atish also spoke about shortly before, and Harvey, you mentioned that the efficiencies that can come with the negotiations. So how and what we are doing. I said earlier, agents are those nuggets or those software programs that determine what they need to do, the tasks that they need to do with efficiency for predetermined objectives. So we've built an API, the agent bank, the S2P agent bank, entirely covering the S2P processes that need to be taken care of. They interact seamlessly with the core S2P product. So it's not a bolted on setup where you have to go in, give the context, give the details, but it can access the data for the core S2P, do retrieval augmented generation on top of it, put the right LLM model, and get you the right details. What happens with these agents? We stitch them in an orchestrated manner to attain the final objective. So the objectives that you're trying to attain with a single agent can also be compounded with multiple agents in a flow, thereby helping you attain the objectives that your organization really needs to go to. I think this we have seen before. I'll just deep dive a bit more into this. The create events, so autonomous negotiation flow. Imagine looking at a requirement coming to you for purchasing a complex service from a requester. Now, how does it happen currently? It happens with that request being put as a single line flow, goes to the procurement team asks multiple questions to the requester. How and what are the other second details with which you want to complete this request? Arranging this conference, for example. A user can go in the system and say, I want to organize a conference, and these are the timelines. But the system will ask, is it a business conference? It is a single day conference? How many equipments or setups you need? And so on. Once that is done, they create an event. They go to find suppliers. Then the bid collection and the reminder process gets in. And then often if it is a low spend, the negotiations are left out because they're tactical. They do not command the time of the procurement teams to get the best output. So the negotiations happen or do not happen, and then it is awarded. Now imagine with this agent, you give them a problem that we are trying to organize an event, get us the right suppliers and the bids for it. The agentic flow takes that input and gets to you 5 or 7 negotiated bids in a few days for you to just select and award that to the user. That's what this agentic platform can do. And we are going to demonstrate it. I'll talk about it more or demonstrate it live tomorrow. But it's autonomous and it's completely in your control. The same with expiring contracts. You want to renew them? Do you want to look at details? You want to negotiate them? Or you just want to negotiate with renew without negotiation? So ANA. And one key element for user experience we always work with is whether you have control over the system that you are using. So an autonomous agent does it itself. A manual agent will still do everything themselves, but come to a human to approve or move them forward. So that's what you see. The various triggers that are working out. Create event is a manual setup. We have not given that authority to publish events. So the event comes up to the user to create and approve so that it is published. Suppliers, bids, and negotiation is all autonomous. And then you award when you have negotiated bids. So that's how simple. It's easy to set up by anyone in the organization, and it's easy to execute for the business or the frequent procurement users as well. And it's not as simple. You can build any flow. You can have various routers. You can review with negotiation, tactical sourcing, strategic sourcing, and you can just decide not to renew it at all. So I think we have the indication for the Q&A. I'm very excited to demonstrate this to this group. And I think we have a dedicated session for this tomorrow as well. Thank you very much for this time. And please share any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Elisa. Thank you very much, Teertje.